everybody.
Hey everybody, welcome to the live. I am Coupon Therapy. I will be your host for the show. Okay. Welcome. Today, I am coming live to talk to you guys about. Hold on, I need to share my screen. I can turn the camera off. I am coming live to talk to you guys about. As you see, my title is "Tunneling Out of Depression." And People Pleasing 101. So what my objective is to just have a few discussions about depression, anxiety, certain other issues that may affect us. But I want to break those down, kind of not necessarily cause and effect, but there's certain levels and certain things that come with it. So in this particular video, I would like to talk about people pleasing. Hey, Leonie. Happy Friday, boo. Mm. So, okay, so today we're going to talk about people pleasing, right? People pleasing at it's definitely um can be a cause of depression, right? People pleasing can cause depression. Um, so it kind of goes hand in hand. So we'll start out with people please. What is a people pleaser, right? So just the most basic definition of the word people pleaser is a people pleaser is typically someone everyone considers helpful and kind. When you need help with a project or someone to help you study for an exam, they're more than willing to step up. If you recognize yourself in the above description, you may be a people pleaser. It's not guaranteed that you're a people pleaser, because there are some things that markedly make the difference between just a generally nice person and a people pleaser, right? There are some behaviors that differentiate the two. People pleasing has its root causes in trauma. It's based in trauma. It is a trauma response. Okay. It's a learned behavior that mostly derives out of trauma. So, okay. So constantly making yourself available to others can take an emotional and physical toll. You may find that you neglect your own needs because you fear disappointing others when they ask you for help. Now, so that disappointment, that really is that's going to be key here, because fear of disappointing others is what really drives that people pleasing machine, right? That's what really is behind pushing that behavior. Hold on. So, in those behaviors, as I said, are learned responses, right? So, what are some of the signs of a people pleaser? What are some of the signs that will let you know that a person is a people pleaser or you are a people pleaser, right? What are the signs that differentiate between just a nice person or someone who fits the profile of a people pleaser, right? See, it's one thing to want to help others because it's part of your nature, but people pleasers often end up being taken advantage of by others. Signs that you maybe a people pleaser can include agreeing with whoever is in front of you, right? Like not necessarily agreeing with what they're saying, but whoever is available at the time, that's who you agree with, right? Whoever's in front of you. So your story and your allegiance may change, right? Many of us learn how to politely listen to others as part of our social skills. That can kind of veer into people pleasing behavior if you constantly agreeing with people because you want to earn their admiration and not because you truly believe what they are saying. Okay. So, of course, in being a nice person, we do want to be attentive. We want to listen to people. We want to be respectful in our responses, but we want to be careful that we're not being what they call quote unquote yes men all the time, right? Agreeing when we should disagree and things like that. Because ultimately, that does not benefit us in the long run. Okay. Human beings, we are social beings. So it's very easy to fall into these behaviors if you're not careful. You know, it's very easy to want to please the people that we love, people that we're trying to get admiration from, right? But those behaviors can be very dangerous to the psyche. It can be very dangerous to your emotional health and your mental health, as well as your physical well-being, because it can cause stress, which we know can cause heart attacks and strokes and high blood pressure and so forth and so on. So it's kind of it really is a trickle down effect, right? So it really is important, as simple as it may seem, that we not only identify these behaviors, but we also work through them and get to a healthier place within ourselves to where we're not engaging in people pleasing behavior. It is literally toxic to your well being. Okay. Um, Also, apologizing for things that aren't your fault. People pleasers often make themselves responsible for the emotional responses of others. If someone feels bad, you may blame yourself or fear that that person thinks you're the problem, right? It's good to say to apologize if you've hurt someone, but there may be a deeper issue, right? If you're frequently apologizing for things that you have no control over, things that you are not responsible for, right? And another one. Now, this is my favorite by far, honey, because this is a whole nut. This is going to be a whole nother video, but this also, um, interestingly enough, it is a big sign in people pleasing, right? Not being able to say no, right? The infamous scary no. If you find it difficult to tell others no when they ask you for something that you're not wanting to agree to, then you may be a people pleaser, right? Many people pleasers prefer making up excuses later to get out of a commitment instead of saying no from the start. So let's say someone's like, "Hey, if on Friday I'm gonna have a cookout at my house. I want you to come over. I'm having some, friends from work. I want to introduce you to them." Now, you may very well not have any desire to go and meet these people, right? But instead of you saying no immediately, oh, just declining, you agree to it, and then you come up with a lie or an excuse, which is ultimately a lie, um, to get out of it, right? That's not good either. Because that, why would you have to make it? That is stressful in and of itself. Why agree to something that you don't have to agree to just to stress yourself out about making up an excuse to get out of it, when you can literally just stand up for yourself and say what you mean and mean what you say. And I understand that that is not always an easy thing to do. However, that's why we're having this discussion. That's why I'm going to do these series of videos. If you are watching these videos and this is you, hopefully you will stay on board and uh watch the follow-up videos, and we can take this journey together, and we'll see uh where we end up. But the ultimate goal is to become healthier emotionally, physically, spiritually, to help heal some of our trauma, to tunnel out of depression, right? To maintain and get our anxiety under control and overall live a healthy, happy life, right? As much as possible. So that's the goal, the big goal. But we're going to break all of that down into little segments, right? So, where were we at? We were like at saying no. So let me see what you guys are doing. Hold on a moment. Hey, China Dog, Onyx Blue, NY. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. Okay, so another big thing with people pleasing is changing your personality. Now, remember, you guys, we are going over these things so that you can do an internal audit. We're going to do an internal audit and kind of like a checklist to see if any of these things identify with us. And if they do, then, you can kind of either mentally jot them down or actually physically jot them down on a piece of paper. I wrote mine down. So, because after I write them down and we conclude the video, then we can go back and then we can start to look at those things, right? And identify them. And then we can start to come up with a game plan. But right now we're at the beginning stages and we're just identifying these behaviors. Just to kind of see where we're all at, okay? So, changing your personality depending on who's around you. People pleasers tend to shift their behavior and attitude to match the person or group that they're with. That could lead to you acting ways that are like out of character or that are not really you, or participating in actions that you disagree with just to fit in socially, right? People pleasers tend to do anything possible to avoid conflict, even if it means turning into an entirely different person. So, and we see that a lot on social media nowadays with like, it's like peer pressure on steroids, right? I watch a lot of crime shows and I have seen like groups of people do some of the most god awful stuff just because another person was doing it and they didn't have the nerve to speak up, to lead, or to separate themselves from the pack, so to speak, right? So that definitely is a real thing. And it can be a dangerous thing. It can be a dangerous thing. Okay. If your self-worth depends on how others see you, then you may be a people pleaser. People pleasers tend to need validation from others to feel good about themselves. They can go to extremes to earn words of praise from others. The confidence of a people pleaser rises and falls based on how others perceive them. So yeah, first and foremost, in the life of a people pleaser, um, the opinions of others is highly valued. So that's like heavy on the other people's opinions. Okay, definitely. Um, so those are some, and the list goes on and on. I mean, like you can take that, and you all know yourself. You can take the things that I've said, and kind of expand on those, or use those, but use that as a starting point. If you would like to do inventory, and do a sort of audit on yourself to see where you stand, or if you even suspect that you may have something, because if you also suffer from anxiety and depression, um people pleasing is not a good thing. That's going to make those things worse for you. So it's best that you tackle those things so that overall you can have a better quality of social life, mental health life, physical life altogether, right? Because some of the effects of being a people pleaser are not only emotional, as I stated, but they could be physical. And I I would even go so far as to say even spiritual, right? If you are in constant people pleaser mode, you can really lose sight of who you are. All right. You may have no idea what truly makes you happy as a person. People pleasers may tend to spend so much time trying to please others that they don't know what really to do with themselves or what they like to do, if there's no one asking them for something. If there's no one, you know, needing something, you can get so caught up in it, and that can lead to depression and anxiety as well. The constant need to always be on or perform can lead to can have devastating effects on our mental health, which can lead to, you know, devastating effects on our physical health, on our overall well-being. So these are not things that we want to take lightly at all. I'm just hitting the key points just to give you a basis, a starting point. Of course, we all have to be dedicated and committed to doing the work within ourselves. I am committed to building a community of support and a, a safe space for us to be able to have these conversations, right? Um, because another effect of people pleasing can lead to the lack of self care, right? Constantly devoting yourself to meeting the needs of someone else can definitely lead to you neglecting your own needs. There's only so much time in a day, right? And a lot of times when you're constantly doing for others, that means that you're constantly pushing back the needs of yourself, right? And if you are, just think about this, if you are the one that's doing all the giving, all the doing, right? Um, and then on top of that, you're not able to take care of your own needs, then who is going to pour into you, right? When you run out of gas, right? So you may find yourself getting sick. You might get mentally burnt out from the pressure of trying to please everyone. Um, you may find yourself bottling up anger, getting resentment because, you may start to feel that people are taking advantage of you. That can lead you to make passive aggressive behaviors, comments, gestures that can lead to other, or any other signs of frustration that can lead to other conflict, right? So basically, you trying to go do everything to avoid conflict can ultimately boil over into a big old ball of conflict and chaos, right? You might start pulling away from people, isolating yourself instead of letting them know what's going on, so that you can work and improve, for a better situation. Right? Then you start to get the inability to even enjoy yourself at most times because you're constantly bottled up. You're not expressing yourself. You're not taking care of yourself because of the lack of self-care, right? No one's pouring into you. And so that can really kind of zap your ability to have a sense of enjoyment in anything, right? The stress from constant people pleasing can really make it hard to just enjoy the simple pleasures of life, like an ice cream cone or, like your favorite TV show. Overcommitment can make it hard for you to wind down and relax. It can lead to lack of sleep and a number of things that are just not good for us overall. So it's very important that you kind of make space for yourself, right? You need to do these things on purpose. We need to take a step back, um, and take a few deep breaths. Count to 10. All right. Kind of reset your mind. Uh, And you want to keep track of how often you say yes when someone asks for something when you really want to say no. We want to make a purposeful decision to start tracking these things, right? Because we're gonna do this on purpose, not unconsciously. So you want to take a step back, look at where you're spending most of your time and your energy. Then we want to keep track of how often we say yes when someone asks us for something and we really want to say no. And then think about how you feel in those moments, right? Taking stock of the times that you're unable to give a firm no can kind of help you to recognize those situations in the future. And in that way, you can practice a different response. And yes, I did say practice because you didn't become this way or learn these behaviors overnight. And so they're not going to go away overnight. A lot of times, in taking back, you know, like a healthy mental health, taking back a healthy physical life, right? All of those, it's kind of like that faith without works is dead. Those are all action words. So you actually have to do something. You have to get involved um in this process. So yeah, we're going to be doing this on purpose. We're going to in look for patterns in your people pleasing behavior, right? There may be people that you feel more of a compulsion to try and satisfy than others. You want to identify those people and then maybe identify the reasons why that may be. Your actions may be a way um, to recover from hurt that they have caused you in the past. It may be something about them that triggers some sort of trauma, right? You also want to start purposely recognizing your limitations and placing boundaries around how you spend your time, your money, your energy. Think about how much space, capacity, bandwidth you really have before making commitments, right? And then stick within that range. Try to expand your energy only on those things that align with with your values and those things that make you feel good. And these are some of the things that will help you to make space for yourself, to start to conserve that energy, right? And you also want to be sure that you speak up for yourself and avoid passive aggressive behaviors because they're not conducive to any type of relationship and not any type of healthy relationship, right? You want to start recognizing your limits and placing boundaries on every aspect of your life. Because, as I stated, this is purposeful work that I'm talking about. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. It's something that you have to be conscious and purposeful in doing. And it's not. I mean, it's not easy, right? We don't become people pleasers overnight. As I said, and the behavior is rooted in trauma. So it is actually a learned trauma-based response. Uh-oh. Hold on, you guys. Hi, Lady Steph, Mogi. Good morning, ladies. I was just having a little bit of a discussion about people pleasing. I just wanted to come by and speak to you guys a little bit about that. I'm going to hey Valerie, my moderator is in the building. Yes. So I wanted to come and talk to you about that, guys, and share a part of my personal journey. And if any of you guys are also have experienced these things or can identify with any of these things, I would love for you guys to stick around, to follow the videos, to follow the channel, and and get into the content because I'm going to be exploring a lot of the things that I feel, a lot of things that I've been through, things that other people have been through, that they, that they are talking to me about or told me about. And I think that it will be very eye-opening for those of us who um need this type of content, and maybe entertaining for those of you guys who may have done this work already, but maybe you can still enjoy the content. So that's what I hope. Yeah. So this was our people pleasing. I have a video. I may re-release it on the power of saying no. I may do another short about that. I'm not sure. Um, the next video that I'm going to do also is going to be in the, tumbling out of depression series that I'm going to do. Give me one moment. I'm going to pull this up. I lost my screen. I'm going to share my screen. There was something I wanted to show you guys. 10. Okay. Okay. Willie won't let me share the screen. Well, I'll just read it. Okay. So, I looked up the dangers of people pleasing, right? And this is why it's so important that we address this topic and that we deal with it. Because these are there. It's not only mental um stressors and mental consequences. It's also very much so life-threatening consequences. Especially among African American people, um, who are at high risk for stress and low risk for actually getting treatment, right? So, some of the dangers of people pleasing, as we know, of course, we said the number one, stress. People pleasing behaviors are born out of a need to avoid stress, right? But they are far more likely to create stress instead of avoiding stress, right? Stress, unhealthy stress can lead and be a leading cause of depression. Okay. So do y'all see how all those things kind of go hand in hand? So as we break them down, you'll see how a lot of this stuff comes back to the core of the depression, the anxiety. But these are some of the things. It's like an onion. You got to peel back the layers, right, to get down to it. And there's not a one size fits all solution for any of us. Sometimes you have to mix and match these things, but these are some of the core things that you want to base whatever care plan you come up with for yourself. Whatever things, I think I spoke on a previous video about having that toolbox, that tangible toolbox. You can write little affirmations, little reminders, little trinkets that may trigger certain emotions or feelings to help you get through those times where you feel depression coming on, or you may be having a rough day, or those dark moments are coming. Okay. So, one of the other dangers, and what one of the things we're trying to avoid, is the loss of identity, right? People pleasing can cause us to lose our self identity. Recognizing the dangers of people pleasing are a crucial step in changing your habits, and it can help you find balance, right? The dangers of being a people pleaser and losing the sense of self, being taken advantage of, can cause loneliness and not being able to form authentic relationships. Over time, this can actually result in a diminished sense of self-worth. Kind of like a loss of personal identity, to where a person would be habitually seeking validation from other people. And it can really erode one's mental health, one's sense of self-worth. So it's a very dangerous place to be in, right? Um, the dangers of people pleasing are would be the lack of setting boundaries, right? If you're a people pleaser, it's going to be harder to set and stick to boundaries for yourself, which are very important, um, in having a well-rounded, healthy life, right? So learning to set boundaries is crucial for overcoming people pleasing. You're going to have to practice saying no to requests or activities that do not align with your beliefs, your desires, or your needs, right? Um, Not setting boundaries can lead to burnout, resentment, and the inability to set healthy boundaries going forward, right? Not setting them in the present, because it's very important, um, that you have a balance between being considerate of others and protecting yourself. That's a thin line there. Neglect. Okay. Neglect. You run the risk of neglecting yourself, um when you are a people pleaser, right? Because all of the time and energy that you pour into other people is time that you could be poured into yourself. Oh, now it wants to pop up. Okay, so maybe I can share the screen, you guys. Thank you. Yes, you definitely can lose yourself. I'm gonna share. I think it's gonna come up now. Okay, so on the screen, I have this thing. It says your worth is not defined by other people's opinion. It's time to choose something more. Okay. So for many of us, people pleasing is such an ingrained pattern that we don't even realize we're doing it. People pleasing can seem harmless. It's like we're trying to keep other people happy after all, right? Where's the harm in that? Maybe we don't get what we want sometimes, but is that really so bad? We don't always notice the ways people pleasing undermines us. It undermines our relationship, and it even undermines the people that we're trying to please at time, right? My Let me see, I'm reading this. My intention here isn't to tell you that you're bad and you need to do better, if you're a people pleaser. If anything, if this post rings true for you, please know that I'm right here with you with my hand raised high. This is not an accusation, but an invitation, right? I don't want to be living around the edges of my life worrying about what will happen if I can't keep everyone happy. Your life may be fine, but is that good enough? I want so much more for you: love, belonging, confidence, freedom, and fun. Stepping into deeper trust and greater authenticity starts with taking an honest look at what we have been choosing. Only then can we begin to choose something else. Okay? So, people pleasing danger number one. The number one danger in people pleasing is we reinforce to ourselves that we're not good enough. We're less likely to fall into people pleasing patterns if we believe ourselves to be worthy and likable just the way we are. It's when we believe we need to be different or better than we are in order to be included in love that we try to hide or change ourselves. Every time we change ourselves to be more pleasing to others, we reinforce to ourselves that who we truly are isn't good enough. And even if we do gain a level of acceptance, it only tells us that we performed well enough and not that we are actually well enough. Wow. Now, wow. Now, so that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to reinforce that negative talk to ourselves that we're not good enough. So by actively engaging in people pleasing, that's exactly what we're doing. Even though we're trying to gain the opposite effect, right? It has the negative effect. We're trying to gain a positive effect, but it actually has a negative effect overall on you. Because by engaging in the people pleasing, you're actually engaging in behavior that changes who you are to please someone else. And instead of that making you feel better and good about yourself, what it actually does, it make you feel worse about yourself, because it further makes you, it reinforces the belief that the real you is not good enough, and that you actually have to change yourself to please other people. And all of that is not true. But those are the thoughts that go through our head. And as I said before, reality is not necessarily the truth. Reality is subjective. Okay. Um, the number two danger in people pleasing is it gets in the way of a true connection. So let's see what it says. It says what we really want in our relationship is to connect deeply with another person, to feel like we belong. It makes sense that we would turn to the things we think will make other people want us around. But so often the very things we do to protect ourselves from what we don't want actually get in the way of what we do want. We're too busy watching for cues from other people about what they want and what they think of us, um, to be genuinely curious about who they are, right? So instead of me meeting you and genuinely just leaning into that and being able to be comfortable enough to allow you to be yourself and for me to be myself and for me to get to know you for who you are, I am on edge, almost, perch. I don't want to say in a judgment, but I'm looking for cues. I'm not looking for the real you. I'm looking for cues for you to tell me basically how to treat you. And then ultimately, you know, a connection is missed. Ultimately. Hold on, you guys. Okay. Good morning, Barn Dog. Good morning. Okay, where was I at? Okay, we don't feel. Okay, while it seems like people pleasing would mean we're selfless and outward facing, we actually become very self absorbed as we monitor how our words and actions are measuring up, right? The attention that we do focus on others is less about getting to know them and more about studying who they expect us to be, right? And then analyzing their reactions to us. So, do you see how very stressful and contrived that type of arrangement is? Um, when you're steady in people pleasing mode, you ultimately affect, the foundation of your relationship with other people is what I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be a more performance based relationship, and it's not going to be authentic. Okay. Number three, we neglect ourselves. In order to please others, we need to pay attention to what they want and how they feel. This can inadvertently lead to us neglecting our own needs, wants, and preferences. Some of this I already went over, but it doesn't hurt to go over it again because this is absolutely a learned behavior. And in order to get out of this mode, we are absolutely going to have to be purposeful and practice doing these things every day, every interaction. And when we find ourselves falling back, into those old routines, we just need to stop, no guilt, no shame, no nothing, and just, reverse course and do better. Okay. Because it's one thing to go with someone else's preference out of genuine caring and generosity, but it's another thing entirely to regularly put your own needs aside because we believe that we have to do that in order to remain in, to maintain a relationship or a certain level of, communication with a person. That's when you start to teeter into the realm of unhealthy, relationships and unhealthy behaviors. The emotions we build up inside of us instead of moving through us, um, from people pleasing, they're called pent up emotions. And these emotions can leak at the craziest times. Sometimes they can come out as sarcasm, criticism, passive aggressive behavior. Unprocessed emotions can get tangled up into all areas of our lives. And eventually, the pressure can build up to the point of exposure. You know how they say pressure bust pipes? So basically, what that means is by not dealing with things head on, stuffing them, engaging in people pleasing behavior, um, saying yes when you really mean to say no, ultimately leads or can lead to you acting out and you know engaging in behaviors that are not normally like yourself, right? And then ultimately exploding, and that makes the situation worse, which could ultimately ruin, end, damage, you know your a relationship, the very relationship that you're actually supposedly doing all this work for, right? So ultimately, people pleasing is counterproductive. Hmm. Okay, number 5. Sorry, y'all, I had to take a drink. My mouth is getting dry. I'm almost done though, so I won't be holding y'all too much longer. Okay, number 5. Um, with people pleasing, our actions can be manipulative and dishonest sometimes, right? People pleasing may seem nice and generous, but it actually leads us to act in ways that are manipulative and dishonest. Because when we hide our opinions, or when we agree to something that we don't want to, or we do something that we don't want to do, we aren't really being truthful, right? We're not really giving the person a chance to really get to know us, to really judge us for who we really are, because we're basically putting on, right? It can be tempting to keep quiet so that people will think that we agree with them, but staying silent so that others will believe something is untrue is actually a form of lying. We people please to keep people happy, make them like us, and win our approval. Through our behavior, we're essentially saying that we'll do whatever they want as long as they love us, approve of us, or include us in return. When we people please, we change ourselves in the hopes of securing a place or relationship that we don't believe that we can have through straightforward interactions, right? Which ultimately is a relationship that's not going to work because it's not even built on the right foundation. So if we think about that, it's never going to work anyway. So it's best to identify and try to overcome our people pleasing behavior for all parties involved, and we'll have more meaningful relationships and interactions with people. One moment, let me pull this up. Okay, Number 6, we teach people how to treat us. People pleasing sets us up to be taken advantage of, okay? Because if it by us constantly going out of our way to be helpful and accommodating and always agreeing with everybody, it's only natural that we're going to be the ones that they always ask, right? Because that's how we came off. And that's how we've taught them to treat us, to put all the responsibility on us, to it's okay to inconvenience us. It's okay to, to put out, to call you at the last minute. Oh, oh, I'm sure she'll do it, right? Um, right. It's only natural that they would start asking you for more and more and more, because, especially because they know that you're the one that's likely to agree to it. It's only human nature. Relationships built on people pleasing are rarely mutual. They're generally one sided. You generally have a bunch of one sided relationships, right? Where you're trying to keep someone happy, meet all their needs. But you're actually teaching them to depend on you rather than to them to take responsibility for themselves. While making ourselves needed may seem like a way to secure our place, it does not lead to the satisfying relationships that we're actually intending for them to lead to. Number 7, we fear our differences. Part of what make relationships rich and interesting is the uniqueness and differences of each person. While we often bond over shared experiences, interests, and opinions, it's our differences that challenge our assumptions, broaden our understanding and compassion, deepen our thinking, and expand our experiences. All too often, people pleasing leads us to believe that we need to be just like someone else in order for them to like us and approve of us. Now, this is very prevalent here on social media these days, where all you often see people engaging in behaviors that, seem like they're just trying to conform with the crowd, right? To get people to approve of them or to accept them. They don't want to disagree, don't want to rock the boat, for fear of being, kind of put out or, not included, right? When we avoid disagreements and continually smooth things over to avoid conflict at all costs, we create relationships that are shallow and fragile, right? They're only surface, meaning they have no depth to them. Like, your relationship can't stand anything. You can't really have an in-depth topic or conversation because there's no substance to that. It's all fluff, right? Everybody's putting on, and at the first hard win, the relationship's going to fall apart because we fear that a fight means, that we've messed up and our relationship is at risk when we people please. Any type of disagreement, you know, that fear is there that, oh my God, this is it. It might be all over. Okay. The 8th and last one. One of the last dangers that we're going to go over today. There is plenty more. There is a list. I implore you guys, if this is something that you suffer from, know someone that suffer from, are interested in, listen, and you would like for me to discuss it more, or you would like to discuss it with me more, leave me a comment under the video. I'll be more than happy. But what I really would implore you guys to do, if it's something that affects you or something that you can relate to, do the research, look up some of the stuff that I'm talking about here, and educate yourself on it. Start being purposeful in your actions, and in your dealings with people. And as I said, you don't develop these habits overnight, and they're not going to go away overnight. But putting one foot in front of the other one, um, definitely you will see results, right? As long as you don't give up. And in doing this, this is just one of the many things that we are going to work on, and that will come together as a whole, that will overall impact our mental health and our overall well-being, right? We are trying to be free. We're not trying to be all tied up and wrapped up and confused. And so this is just one of the things that contributes highly to depression and anxiety. And so I just wanted to highlight this particular subject. I will be coming back to do another video on another topic um in the family of depression, anxiety, mental health, and mental well-being. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like the video, please subscribe, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. Yes. Thank you guys for coming through. I'm try to keep these videos short. So that people come in, they can come in, and if they would like to get the information, they don't have to, sit through a whole long video to get it. Um, love you guys. We'll be talking soon. Peace.